Hi everyone, Robert's asked me to show you the garden so that you can see where the portals are and the crystal grid. So I'm going to talk you through and walk you through my rather overgrown garden, winter garden here. Right, this is the first portal in the garden. This one is where most of like the orbs and certain things come through. So I have some great photographs of this particular archway when the portal's open. At the moment it's peaceful and quiet. Having a little bit of a winter kip, I think. I'm going to walk you over to the second one. I always think this one's a slightly lesser portal, not quite as active. It's just here where I'm standing, and we planted a cherry tree here for reasons that I will explain in a moment once I get to the third portal. I'm going to walk over now to the third portal. This one right here, we used to have an ornamental cherry tree which I used to sit under. It's where all my channeled art, which I used to sit under. It's where all my channeled work came about. So I'm standing right in it now. Now to this side of me here is where the star map gets thrown down. Now the star map is what the UFOs and our star being families use to navigate down into certain portals and wormholes so that they can arrive here. Now straight from where I'm standing now, right down to where the first portal was, Helen and I set up a crystal grid of the 7 chakras. So the portal I'm standing in currently is like the top of the tree of life, and at the bottom by the other portal, that's the base. So I'm standing in the crown chakra currently. I used to have here, just beyond this arch, a stone circle. It was a circle of joy. It's what I called it. And this is where I used to do all my healing. If anyone wanted to go to be attuned to Reiki, they would come into this circle. So they would walk the chakra line and then walk through this archway. There used to be approximately about here another archway, which basically was on the heart chakra. So right where I'm standing, there was another archway here, but the storms took it. There was also 4 crystals placed in the 4 quarters of the garden. So that's north, east, south, west. And what we wanted to do was connect all the energies up together. And that's what we did. And on the day that we actually did that, there was a massive storm, and I'd placed a beautiful pot plant on top of the heart chakra, and the lightning actually hit it. And I felt that at that stage it was very magical, because it basically meant that the whole garden was activated. I was getting the portals were here before we actually did that work. But what we actually did was ground some nice energies within the garden. So I look upon this, as tatty as it is currently, as my magical garden. Thank you, bye.
Next is remote viewing, because this is something you've just touched on yourself. Helen is quite proficient at remote viewing.
And she's new as well.
And she's quite new as well.
Yeah.
And you've just...
We both, was it about 2 years ago, just after lockdown, we started doing remote viewing together and had quite a few great journeys. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant journeys.
Tell me about any of them. Tell me about a prolific one.
The first one was really, really good. And that was one where we think that we ended up in Snowdonia or somewhere like that because we could see zip wires.
Okay.
But Helen's not sure. We went in because you always go in and you have a set object within a remote view. So you look around and you see something. That's where you've arrived to and you go back out of as well.
Right.
So, and I ended up standing in a ploughed field surrounded by mountains, and there was just this one bright red snapdragon plant there, just in the dirt, growing, but it was a snapdragon. And I said to Helen, well, I can see, I'm in a ploughed field with a snapdragon plant that's bright red, where are you? And she said, I'm underground, right? So I said, can you see any way of coming up at all? So she said, well, I'll have a look around. So she was kind of looking around. She said, oh, I see a door. I said, okay, open the door. And she said, there's steps. I said, right, come up. And then she said, oh, I'm in the field. I said, can you see the snapdragon red plant? She said, yes, I can. I said, well, I'm here. And I sensed her next to me. I didn't actually see her at that point.
Okay, so she'd maybe...
Yeah. So we started to walk. We just started walking across this ploughed field because we could see these trees in the distance. And so we looked around, because we both looked around at the same time, and we both said, we've got to remember, we've got to come back to this, because that's how we get back. So I couldn't see the trees, but she could, but I could sense them. I knew there was trees there.
Okay.
And we just carried walking, and we both saw this high fencing with loads and loads of cars all parked up. And we looked at it, and I said to her, well, this is strange. You didn't expect it in the wilderness to suddenly come across this.
Yeah.
And it was quite well lit as well.
So hang on, we've got ploughed field, we've got mountains either side.
Yeah.
And then you've gone through this field and you've come across what looks like a high fence property with cars lined up in there.
Cars up, and it had light in it. It was lit. And Helen said that she saw this weird thing. She looked to the left, and she could see this huge weird thing, white and like very, very different, and loads of, and what we thought was zip wires turned out not to be, but they were like loads of lines of poles with wires coming out the top all the way along. We didn't investigate that part of it. We just sort of saw it, both of us together. And then we walked around, and there was a door. Don't remember walking into the barbed wire car park, but we did go in the door, and we found ourselves in this, like, to start off with, it was like a polytunnel kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we went through another section, and it was metal. It was pure metal, and it was just had some windows, so it was above ground. It wasn't underground.
Yeah, because the
above.
windows were showing outside, right?
Yeah, so you could see the windows, and we didn't really look out. We just carried on forward, and we came to a full stop to a door that had a window in it. So Helen was in front of me, and she said, oh, this is interesting. She said, this is like a lab. That's what she said. It's like a lab. And I said, oh, right. I said, oh. So I had a little nosy myself, and she was right. And then she said, oh, there's people in there. So I said, oh, right, okay. I said, well, we need to keep it down then, laughing, because we knew no one could hear us, really. Well, we thought they couldn't. And then all of a sudden this door opens, and this figure is standing in front of the door. And Helen's looking up at this figure, which had like a human kind of body, but a reptilian kind of face. And she's looking up, and I'm thinking, reptilian hybrid?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I said, how we need to go? And she said, oh my God, what is it? Who is he? And she was like absolutely blown away, didn't want to move. And he was just looking straight at her, and she was looking straight at him, both obviously surprised to see each other. And I said, Hal, we need to get back now. We need to break this link now. We've got to move. Well, I don't know. I said, no, Helen. I said, you really have got to come back now? I said, because your mind link, I said, cut it. I said, let's move it. And we found ourselves back in the field, flower over, came back from the remote view. So I said to her afterwards, I said, that was kind of pretty dangerous. I said, I don't know where we were, some kind of facility with a hybrid reptilian. I said, because he had a man's body, you know, and I said, and they can follow trails, you know, psychically. And I said, you've got to listen. You've really got to listen. When I say go, we need to go, you know, because it's kind of dangerous. We you know, we've had a number of remote views that have been lovely and no trouble. That was our very first remote view. She was able to draw what she saw, because Helen's bigger than me and I couldn't see past her. She's taller than me.
Yeah, she was up front and centre trying to find out what the hell was going on.
She took up the whole doorway along with him, you know. I could just like, kind of see his head, top of his head.
Bloody hell.
Sort of
so
thing.
You're there going, we need to...
Yeah, we need to go.
Like, I don't even want to see what's in front of you.
No, we just go, you know, because you've just got to get out of situations sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was able to lead her out of that situation because she was so in awe and so blown away. But she did it, you know, and she wrote all about it, and she even drew what she saw in the facility.
Wow.
And we looked everything up and we found what it was. She wrote everything down step by step, what she felt, what she saw, and so did I. So we wrote it.
So you knew the location in the end, or?
No, I thought it was Snowdonia, but because it felt like Snowdonia. So we didn't set a location or a remote view. It wasn't a planned one. It was one
totally
just to
blind,
see what happens.
Just to see where you end up.
We'd just started out, so it was just like, let's see where we can go.
I wonder why you ended up there, of all places, with a reptilian.
Well, quite a few of the remote views we've done, we've ended up in a strange place, like an underground place where there's military in old-fashioned uniforms, but with modern equipment. That makes sense.
I mean, the whole thing doesn't make sense.
No, that's right. So why have you got like Navy guys in the old style clothes, uniforms,
using equipment that
is clearly more advanced than what we've got here? And that was at a boat, you know, like a shipyard, because when we again in another tunnel, when we came out, where a dry dock. It was almost like a dry dock, and it was a very old dry dock when we came out from the tunnel.
Okay.
Because we said we better leave. It was like a big Navy ship dry dock. So, and it smelled horrible, you know, where the sea comes in because it fills them up, doesn't it, and stuff. And it seemed very old, ancient, you know, like one of the oldest.
Just left.
Yeah, just left. With this rickety door thing to this underground, tunnel that just goes underneath. But it wasn't a deep tunnel, you know, it was straight through.
Yeah. Straight through and freaky.
And the most beautiful one for me was when we sort of went through and we found ourselves on one of those bandstands with steps going up, and we were inside the
stage.
And we were standing at the top, so we walked down, and there was paths. It's like a beautiful park, and we just walked, and it's
like a stage in a park.
Yeah, that was it. But then it went really quite dark, and we found ourselves in front of these huge cliffs. But above the cliffs, we could see light, and I said to Helen, "Well, shall we go up?" You know, and as we started to climb,
Then I have to ask Helen. She's probably already made her way.
Yeah, right. That's it. As we started to climb, because you kind of, within a remote view, you're actually physically doing it. You know, you can feel yourself doing it.
Right.
It's really strange. And Helen said to me, there's something behind us. And there was like these creatures. And like an ant or a spider with their legs out like this, crawling up, but with like a body of an animal, not a spider. Do you get what I mean? And we had to be really, really quick to get there, to get away from them. It was a bit scary. Kind of wanted to finish the remote viewing, but then we got to the top, so I thought, okay. When we got to the top, there was this huge UFO. Huge. And there was like, do you know, like the, when you go to a football match, and there's always like a square thing, door thing, gate thing that you walk through, but the gate wasn't there. It was like that. And we could see these energies shaped like people, but just pure see-through kind of energies.
Okay.
Loads of them.
It's outline.
Yeah, outline sort of thing. And they were going in. And we could see this huge craft over the top. And I said to Hal, I said, well, we've got to go that way. So we got in amongst the crowd and we were walking along.
A crowd of humans or a crowd of just every...
energies. I don't know.
Wow, just anything and everything.
Just shaped like we're shaped.
Yeah.
Like a spirit kind of form, sort of thing, yeah? And I could see right at the end.
You must have felt well out of place.
Yeah, well, we were visible.
Yeah.
They didn't seem to know we were there. They didn't seem to know that we were... They weren't looking, moving... They were just going straight ahead.
Yeah.
And there was this being at the bottom of this step thing, and they were going past and nodding and that. And I saw him, because I was in front of Helen, saw him go like that and look at us. And I kind of looked back and I said, oh, we've been spotted, you know. And he came towards us and he stood in front of me. And he looked me straight in the eyes. And I sensed he smiled. And he just went, no, and no, and no. That kind of sensing. And he put his hand forward and he put something here into my body. It was like something glowing was in his hand. And
just placed it into your chest?
He just placed it into my chest.
And his hand went right through your chest, or...?
Yeah. And it didn't hurt, and I felt fantastic. It was really lovely. It really was lovely. It wasn't anything horrible. It was like love. It was just beautiful. And we told that we had to leave, and we had to go back down the way that we came. Fortunately, we did stop before we went to go down the mountain, even though we were meant to have carried on going. And we saw the UFO take off. So we actually saw it go.
And how did that look?
Fast, quick.
Just a blur?
Yeah, just a blur.
And this was a massive ship and it's just gone like a blur?
Yeah, like a blink of an eye.
No sound, no nothing, just
nothing,
gone.
nothing.
Which is what we see all the time, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we had to retrace our steps straight back to where the bandstand was. And then we talked about it afterwards. And obviously... 2 different people are noticing other different things, and we put it all together, wrote it down.
Unbelievable.
Don't know where on earth we were, but it was lovely.
And you guys are going to plan a live remote view for us at some point.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, because Hale says that she wants you to do a coordination or something. Give her a code or something that she has to follow.
Yeah. We can do that.
I've become her keeper, basically. Yes, I can remote view as well, but she's such a live wire.
Yeah, it would be safer if you were there.
Yeah. So it's best if I see danger, or I can be looking at other things, making sure that everyone stays comfortable.
Well, I wouldn't send you guys anywhere dangerous, per se. But I will make it interesting and take input from the viewers.
Yeah, she doesn't want to know.
No,
she just wants...
I'll just give you a random generated number, and my thoughts will be linked to that number. Yeah,
because we've done quite a lot of remote views where we free flow.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of remote viewers, because we can't really call ourselves remote viewers, because a lot of remote viewers will have a coordination or an area that they're going to see. But because we like to free flow, so it's interesting, and so we end up where we end up. Right. But she wants it to be a bit more regimental, controlled.
So we know that. Yeah. And I think it's important, because if we're going to show people that this is real, we need to show them a location that's randomly picked, potentially even by the audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're spiritual people having a spiritual journey, and we just free flow, and we just putting ourselves there. You know, I mean, we don't do this publicly as a rule. You know, we've never done anything like remote
No, and
viewing
I think RV requests are off the table.
Yeah.
I think the planet's not ready for that yet.
No.
To let everyone just remote view.
No, I know. But certain people can.
But certain people can, absolutely, yeah. And I think it's important we all start learning the journey and trying to understand what's going on. And I appreciate.
And I know a lot of people have training, but we've been on the spiritual circuit for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And we experiment, Helen and I, quite a lot. Like the time I put her in a medicine wheel made of wands. You know, you don't do that to anyone but your best friend.
Yeah, of course you don't. Of course you don't.
Just to see what happens.
That's the equivalent of being tied up to a telephone pole on a stag night, by the way, in the spiritual realm.
But both of us are quite aware. Both of us are, you know, been on the circuit for, you know, spiritual circuit for a long time, basically. So we do things together, Helen and I. We get into trouble, we got to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's on your shoulders. It's on your shoulders, yeah.
It is. But she would like to do a controlled one, so I said, well, yeah.
Can't wait. That'll be amazing. And
just see how we go. We're not brilliant, I don't think, but who knows?
It's practice and it's learning, and it's a new type of science.
Yeah.
You could call it a new science that we are trying to learn and work out without using the tools of science.
Well, Helen can channel as well, so she channels really lovely.
Yeah.
I don't much like the thought of something coming into me, basically, to channel. I have channeled a message once a long time ago, but I didn't like it, whereas Helen's braver than me. I'll stick with the star beings.
Yeah. Stay in your lane sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Channeling and spirit.
Wherever the lane stops and starts, I don't know.
It's just not my thing.
So obviously you've got quite a few credentials. What can we do to help people? What can we offer together to help people? To our members, because our members are the people that are going to be putting their money where their mouth is, essentially, and they want to research this topic more. So what can we do?
Well, I'm happy to, I mean, I don't charge people.
You never have you, for any kind of readings or...
I did for a little while for the readings when I went to like a fair to do it, but anybody that's...
But that was like an event that you were going to?
Yeah, that was an event I was going to, yes. But no, I don't. I mean, all the things that I've learned, I've been gifted from amazing teachers. Mm-hmm. And that in itself is a blessing. And so my aim is just to give back, you know. So I'm happy to use the tuning forks. If somebody was really poorly, I can do it remote. You know, I can do it over the phone.
You've shown me. Yes, you showed me. I've told my audience that you fixed me within...
It's the same with energy healing and any kind of healing, or anyone needs a little bit of advice, or people don't have to come here, and I certainly won't charge.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't charged.
For what you learned.
I did get charged for the Reiki, but for anything else, like the shamanic teachers, all the amazing people that's come into my life, it's all been gifted. Mm-hmm. And I just love that idea of giving back. I do anyway. I'm at the stage of my life where money doesn't kind of, you know, it's not
change
the thing.
Too much.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Too much.
I have everything I need, everything I've ever wanted. And there's nothing I need. Mm-hmm. So I just like to give back.
And that's what we're going to try and do for people.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to try and do the same as well. So, I mean, I've spoken to you about this already, and it's not something I can officially announce, but well, I'll have to check policies and stuff, but I'm going to try and give back to people, paying members as well. Yeah. Like I said, I want it so that this pays for itself, but on top of that, I want you guys to benefit. So healing, card reading, sharing experiences, connecting the dots with me and everyone else in the server, learning what we find out, and going through this whole process, this evolutionary process together, I think is important.
Yes.
And there are...
I mean, you've got that super group that you set up, Decord, haven't you, as well?
There's
so it's the office there, isn't it?
Yeah, and we realise as well, there's so many people that can do this,
Yes.
And they might not get things quite right, and they'll charge an arm and a leg for it, right? Like we live in a world where there's so many people trying at their dab hand at this or that or this and that, and you don't know whether they are genuine or not. You know, you don't until they do something miraculous. You just don't know. And so we appreciate that it's a tough subject to get into.
It is, and I mean, lots of people are struggling at the moment as well.
Yeah.
And even though health is extremely important and well-being, it's the last thing on the list.
It comes second and third, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's literally the last thing on the list, you know. And I'm always happy to help people. I always have done. You know, if somebody's in pain, I helped an Asda driver. He had a trapped nerve, and I got one of my tuning forks and helped
him out.
Yeah.
And you've helped me out last week.
Yes. So there's lots of different healing systems we do, and can be done remotely or can be done over the phone.
Yeah. Well, this is what the Discord server's for, because, and I'll show you how to use that, because I know you're quite new to Discord.
Yeah,
but
I am.
That function there, you can actually join a voice chat. And someone can join in with you, and you can instantly just have a connection with someone, sort of like thing, Facebook, yeah. But everyone has access to that. So on the left-hand side, there's threads, and you can share your evidence. You can do all sorts. I'll show you on my phone. But I mean, the Discord server should be an all-access. Whoever's got access to it should be able to download the information. Should be able to read information on what we put out. Should get help if they need it as well, which is important. We need to give someone.
I don't like to think of anyone either in pain or worried or scared, you know, and sometimes talking to another person, you know, because I went through a lot of my experiences on my own, literally, and even though I'd say I wasn't scared, there was no one round to actually put it by often.
Or to reassure you, to give you comfort about it.
That's it, you know. I mean, with my friend living in America and Alaska, they're on different timescales. So when I'm in bed, they're up, you know, so
I think my audience can relate to this, because when they message me, I'm 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? You know, but you can reach other people through remote. You know, you can remotely heal somebody or help somebody.
A lot of people are going to struggle to grasp that, but if you really listen to the interview itself and the words we've used and how things work, like the morphing into a tree, really it meant you just feeling energy. What the tree it's all energy. It's not physically morphing into a tree. And
it's not becoming a tree, but
it's not becoming a tree, but essentially you and the tree are the same thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the reality of it, as crazy as it sounds.
It is
brilliant. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, because I believe we've covered enough everything, or a lot.
We've covered a lot. I know we haven't covered everything, and your stories go far and beyond. And also, I'd like you to, not straight away, whenever you want to, but if you want to share some more of your stories, I'm going to give you your own section on the Discord page.
Yeah.
Your own thread, and you can write as many stories as you like. If you want to share anything, it's all written. You know, it doesn't have to be video or pictures. If you've got them, you can add them in. But if you want to just write your stories out so that they're documented, I'll give you your own section.
And you've got
and you and Helen can do that.
Lots of photographs, haven't you? It's my
I've got loads that I'm going to share on the channel.
And the channeled artwork as well.
Yeah, so. Again, I feel like the whole section dedicated for you on the Discord, all your channeled artwork, your stories, everything there. People can go back to that one section, ask you questions, maybe even relate and share some of their stories as well.
I'm sure there's other people within the group that have had experiences.
It's got to be. Yeah.
And our experiences are our own. You know, they are. But thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I know. It's been really great.
It has, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
We're going to hear from Karen a lot more soon. UFO hunts a lot. Thank you, Karen.
Take care. Bye, hopes.